Hey guys, today we're going to look at my setup. A lot of you guys have been asking for it, and I've been away for quite a while, so it's kind of hard to get back into the whole thing. Mainly, the two big things that I've worried about since I was gone was I had to get all this set up, as you can see, which you'll be able to see in a couple seconds, set up, and that was a huge ordeal. Getting everything and getting the right, internet signal and everything. I downloaded a ton of new games. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the other thing was I had a personal scare. It was a cancer scare. But I'm going to be back into it, and everything's okay. I'm completely fine. But, I'm really excited to get back in. I have Sony Vegas Pro now, I have Photoshop, and I have ScreenFlow for the Mac for my editing, which is awesome. So I have a ton of new stuff, and I think it's going to be super awesome. I also got my gaming rig built. I'm going to be putting that out there because a ton of you guys inbox me all the time and ask me what I was gaming on. And actually, what I was gaming on before was the Mac, but that's all going to change. So here's the setup. Alright, now that you've gotten back from the setup video of how it exactly looks, I'm going to walk you from my left to right over here. So what you saw on the left was a HP ProBook 4720S, which is a 17-inch screen. That's my backup for anything that happens on the rig. There's always a backup for me. Right now I don't actually have a backup station yet. I'm in the process of getting one. But I don't have a backup. So that is just generically everything. I have the backups of the games, I have the backups of the all the recordings, and I have the backups of just everything, so that if something happens, God forbid something happens to this, I'll be able to go on there. And that's boosted up. That's not the original 4720S. It's boosted up because it was 5 years old, so I took it apart and redid a ton of stuff on it, and it works really great. In my middle here, what you guys saw was the gaming rig. Everything is on here for the gaming rig, and down here I have my Razer Black Widow Ultimate keyboard. It's not the Chroma. I didn't want the Chroma because I just do everything in Razer Green anyway, so I think that was, sufficient. And I have the Razer Naga from 2014. I don't like the other past Nagas because it's, my phone went off, and I don't know why it went off, but, I didn't like the other editions because the keys were too big on the side, and I personally really like the number keys on this one, which it's yelling at me now because I clicked out of something, but I really like the keys on this one, so it's, when I play Garry's Mod and a bunch of other things, it really helps out instead of having to go all the way up to the other side. And I know that it's kind of like a little materialistic thing, but it works really well, especially when I have the gaming keys set up for something completely different. The webcam that I'm recording from now is I actually will read this because it's something completely different. It's the Carl Zimmerman HD 1080p. It's from Logitech. It's one of the best cameras that you can get out there, but that's not where I'm recording my audio from. I'm recording my audio from the Blue Snowball. It is, as you can hear, it's right there. But this is a USB, and there's also a Blue Snowball Ice. It's the smaller version, and it doesn't have all the settings on it that this does. This doesn't come with any software. You just plug it in and it works. But there's 3 settings on the back. I don't know if you can actually see that, but there's 3 settings on the back. It tells me when I'm recording. It's a really great tool. I like it, and it's worked really well for things that I needed to do. The screen, it's actually 5 years old, this screen, and I'm surprised that there's no dead pixels on it. I got it from where I work, and it's just an old Samsung SyncMaster 204BW, which is just a 20-inch screen, but I will be upgrading to a 28-inch screen very, very soon. And I have Insignia sound system, and that's basically all that's in there. To get to the rig, I'm gonna list that in actually just a minute. I'll list everything that comes out of the rig in just a minute. But for the Mac, it's a 2013 Mac ProBook, I believe, and it's an i7. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. It was really, really fast, for the time being. But because it was a Mac, I was really limited in the games that I could play and the games that I could record. It's still a great recording and editing piece. If I don't want to use Sony Vegas for whatever reason, then I can always use this. Right now, I'm actually recording through the Mac anyway, because I was so used to that. I have to get used to Sony Vegas now, and it's just a huge change. So, but there's not really much about it otherwise, besides that it's gonna be a it's gonna be a gaming recording system. I also use it for school. There's a whole bunch of other things that I use it for, and that's basically all the technology that I use on here. There's not much else. You don't really need all this technology, by the way, if you want to start your own gaming channel or just any channel whatsoever. I just like to have it because I like to have a backup. I like to have good recording software, and I like to have a gaming rig that I know that'll do 1080p no matter what for you guys. So I'm always getting 60 frames per second. If anybody wants to know what recording system I use to capture the screen on here, it's called Overwolf, and it's fantastic. It's free software. Before I used Sony Vegas, it was fantastic. I got 1080p out of it every single time. And the thing that I have running in the background, it's for my video card, and I also have something called Rain Meter back there that just tells me, how hot my CPU is and how hot my GPU is when I really need to look at it. So it's really great to hear about, and it's really great that you guys want to know about this. So now we're just going to go into a little step-by-step of how this gaming rig, came out and what's exactly inside of it. So I'm sure that I've had pictures pop up and do everything else for this, but we're just going to run through the steps of what's inside this. I'm probably going to show you a couple pictures of the finished product. I didn't actually take pictures of step-by-step of when I was building it, but I know some of you guys are kind of into that, so I will leave a link in the description of my PC part picker permalink for what its end result was called. This was actually called the Miranda Lawson Striker. Miranda Lawson is from the Mass Effect series, and if you haven't played the Mass Effect series, you need to go play it because it's a fantastic series. And so it's the kind of black and white theme, so I kept it with that, and the case is actually called the Cooler Master Striker, so the Storm Striker actually. So anyway, we'll get into all that. I'm gonna pop up some pictures, by the way, of what every little individual piece looks like, because obviously the pictures that I took of the case doesn't really show exactly, but it shows the end product. So it started out with getting the CPU, because the CPU, you choose the CPU and you go from there. So I got the Intel Core i7 4790K. It's a 4.0 gigahertz processor, goes up to 4.4 without overclocking, and then if you want to overclock it, it can go into 5.0 gigahertz. So the reason I chose that was because it's an i7, so it has hyperthreading, and hyperthreading does massive, great work. And it also fit the motherboard that I really wanted, and it was the highest that you could go for the motherboard. It's the highest LGA 1150 that you can get right now. So it was great, and I loved it, and I'm glad it's working super fantastic. I don't remember what it was on the rain meter picture, but it usually hovers around 38 degrees Celsius, which is really, really fantastic. And the cooler that I have on top of it, it's a Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. It's a CFM sleeve bearing CPU cooler. That's on top with Arctic Silver 5 high density thermal compound, and that has been keeping it really cool. I had the stock fan on originally, and it wasn't really keeping it cool enough when I was gaming and when I was doing everything else. So I upgraded to the Cooler Master, and I couldn't be happier. Best 40 bucks I ever spent in my life. The motherboard is an Asus Z97 Pro. It's a Wi-Fi ATX LGA 1150 motherboard. I got the Wi-Fi because when I do take this thing over to my friends' houses, there's not always a switch big enough for all the Ethernet to be there, so I have a really powerful Wi-Fi adapter that Asus sent with the motherboard, and even where I am in this house, the Wi-Fi is on the other side of the house, and I can still pick up 4 bars of great Wi-Fi from it. That's how strong it is, and it's freaking fantastic. The only problem, and the reason that this didn't come out a lot sooner, was because when I got the motherboard, the CPU pins were bent and the battery was dead on the motherboard. I'm sure that I'll point out the battery on the motherboard in the finished product, but it was just ridiculous. I had to go through a huge RMA process, and it wasn't actually too bad. I'm making it sound a lot worse than it really was, but I got it back within 5 days. Asus was really kind and generous, and they fixed everything on it. I put it in, and everything ran great. I got 16 gigs of memory in there right now. It's going to get an upgrade to 32 in the next couple weeks. They're on their way. It has Crucial Ballistic Sport, the 2 8GB package. Those are really powerful RAM. I like Crucial. Crucial's always been really great to me. And if you want to go online to Crucial.com, they actually have a scanner where you can scan and upgrade your system if you would like. They'll give you the exact parts that'll fit in your system, and it'll tell you exactly what it is. That's how I upgraded the HP ProBook, actually, was because they said that it can go up to a max of 8 gigs of RAM. So that was completely fine, but I upgraded to a solid state drive from them, and it's just fantastic. However, in the rig, I didn't use a Crucial solid state because everybody was always telling me go for Samsung 850, the Evo series. It's one of their cheaper solid states, but it's still 250 gigs, and that's just for boot up and downloading software. It's not really for the games. The games and everything else are on a Western Digital mainstream 1 terabyte. It's an internal 6 gigabyte per second SATA drive, and it spins at 7200 RPM, and I don't even have that even close to full yet, so I won't have to upgrade that for quite a while. But both of those drives are just fantastic. My video card in there isn't exactly the best, but it isn't exactly the worst. I'll also leave a link in the description for the Hierarchy board I always use when I was building my own, and I loved it. It's from Tom's Hardware, and the R7-370 is just a couple spaces below the Titan, but it's an Asus Radeon R7-370 2GB video card from their Strix series. I love the Strix series, and Asus, I wanted to keep it with the motherboard. You don't need to, but I wanted to keep it with the motherboard. It was fantastic. It's doing fantastic, and I'm easily getting 60 frames per second 1080p quality all the time. I can run all my games at the highest settings, and I never ever have a problem. It doesn't really get hot either. There's not a specific point in time where it's actually really gotten hot, and I actually have to shut down for a while. Some people actually, I know, have had to do that, and for me being on carpet, that's pretty fantastic that I don't have to do that. But that's all thanks to the case. which is a Cooler Master Storm Striker in white. It's an ATX full tower case. The full tower is just mainly just telling you it's going to be huge already. And it's a fantastic case. It's got two fans at the front. Those are 120 millimeters. There's one in the back that's 120, and then there's the one on the top is 200 millimeters, and they're all just pushing out hot air, you know, with the CPU cooler working to push everything out. It's great. It stays really, really cool in there. I can even have the power supply with the fan pointing straight up. Usually you point the power supply fan straight down so that the hot air blows out, but I didn't want to do that because, again, I was on carpet. But it's doing fantastic, and I would definitely recommend this case to anybody who really wants to do it. It was a huge, easy setup, and it comes with two USB 3.0s on the top, two USB 2s, a reset button, you know, headphone, microphone jack, and it comes with an input SATA drive, which is also really fantastic. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the back for water cooling and everything if you want to do that. And I forgot to say that the motherboard actually has USB 3s, USB 2s, and SATA, and a huge sound card, and a gigabyte of Ethernet back there, so it's really great. The power supply is somebody that, it's a company that a lot of people that build computers have heard of, but not a lot of people that really, you know, that maybe it's their first time haven't heard of. It's from Sysonic. It's their M12 Mark II series. It's an 850 watt, 80 plus bronze certified. It's a semi-modular ATX power supply. And yes, I am reading this off of my list here. I apologize. I just want to make sure that I get all the names right. But it's a fantastic power supply. I'm not even using half of the wattage right now. I think I'm only using, actually I might be using half the wattage right now, but I'm only at something like 450 watts out of it, so it's doing fantastic. The optical drive is honestly just a really cheap optical drive. I might be able to point it out in the case. It's just an LG DVD CD rewriter. I didn't upgrade to Blu-ray yet. I will be, but then I'll actually be able to, you know, play movies on here, and I'll be able to hopefully get some games that are on the CDs that are on the Blu-rays now, that I'll be able to load them up and put them through here, which is fantastic. The operating system is Windows 10 Pro, 64-bit. There's not... it was either, for me, it was between 8.1 and Windows 10, and I hated 8 and 8.1. But they were the exact same price. I got mine for $130 with the disc and the key, and it's just freaking fantastic. I'm so glad that I didn't choose to have Windows 8, because I hate Windows 8, and that upgrading process would have been horrible. But you already know what the screen is, you already know what the keyboard is, you already know what the mouse is. I didn't say this before, but I did list it, I think. It's my headphones are the Razer Kraken Pros. It has the little, you know, the little microphone that can pull in and out. I won't be using that microphone ever again, so that doesn't really matter. The insignia you guys know, and the only thing that you guys don't know software-wise on here is that I have Symantec, and I have Malwarebytes, anti-Malwarebytes, and I have Microsoft Office 2010, because that was the last year that you just paid once and you were done. You didn't have to pay monthly for it. And I know there's a whole bunch of updates for Windows 365 and stuff like that, but personally I don't really want it. It's just really stupid as to why they had to make you pay monthly for it. But I like it, and I think everything is fantastic on it. There's also other software on here. If you guys have more questions about that, you can inbox me. I inbox right back usually. I use Steam, Origin as platforms. There's also Razer Synopsys on here. That's for any Razer software. It comes with that update. BattleNet's on here. I'm just looking around, and So yeah, there's a lot of really, you know, in tune stuff with this. And now I'm just gonna kind of flash a couple pictures of the end result. And I'm really proud of the end result. I think it looks really good. I know my wire management isn't like 100% perfect. Again, that's limiting with the case, but otherwise I think that I built this rig exactly to how I want it. It will be getting upgrades in the future. Like I said, it's going to be upgrading to 32 gigs of RAM. I'm going to upgrade the optical drive. I'm going to upgrade the storage space. I'm going to get another 3 terabyte drive. I'm going to get a new video card, the GTX 970, which is a 4 gigabyte card. That's what I'm upgrading to. And if I figure out that it's going to get too hot, I'm also going to get a Corsair H100i. I don't know what model of that yet, but so far the Cooler Master has been doing fantastic, so I don't have to worry about that. And the screen that I am looking at right now, it's called a ViewSonic. I have to read this out because this is a really weird thing. It's called a VX2 858 SML 60 Hz 28 inch screen monitor. Yes. So that's gonna be the upgrades. And I'm pretty freaking excited to actually get this stuff done for you guys. And you know, I hope that you had, you know, some enlightenment, and I hope that this helped you. I'm going to leave the links for PC Part Picker, my PC Part Picker, my everything about the setup, I guess. Tom's Hardware for your video card, and yeah, so I think that's actually it. That's all I have to link in the description. But I also want to say, in no way whatsoever has this video been monetized by PC Part Picker or Tom's Hardware. They're just fantastic websites that I use, and this hasn't been monetized by Razer either. I just love Razer products. I think that Razer is fantastic, and you know, that's just me. But you know, you guys have your own personal opinions, and you guys can go on PC Part Picker, make your own login, and then, you know, build your own system for your own dream, and you know, you can just have fun and game with your friends. So that's all that I have, and you know, I'm really happy to do this. Make sure you inbox me if you have any more questions, and I'll definitely answer any questions I can. Also, I will have a lot more of recorded software to come up. The Hidden's coming out. We're either going to do Terrablaria or we're going to do Gary's Mod tonight. I have no idea, but there is going to be some of that. So I hope that you guys have a lot of fun, and I will see you soon.